Good day, beautiful people, once again. This is my second and last video for this day. It may be my last video for a while. I have a few things I need to bring to a close while I'm here, and a few things I need to start. Voila. A few things I need to start. And I'm already speaking to the agencies required to do so. So this may be my last video for a while, but this is a very important video, and maybe a little bit longer than normal also. Right. I've recently spoken about the Jews and the Slavs being in a plan to kill all humans. And I know some of you are thinking, oh, this is unbelievable. And as with one recent conversation I had with an LSE student doing their PhD based in north of Brazil, she said, oh, that sounds anti-Semitic. So I said, that word anti-Semitic is one thing that they created also to stop everybody from reproaching them. And I'll cover that in a second. Anyway, so if you look at the history of the Slavs, going back from the breaking of Asia Minor, when the Dutch first went there and put an end to many of their spiritual practices, you'll see from 3,000 odd years ago till the end of the Second World War and just after post-Second World War, the Slavs have been moving themselves around the world. Now, if you look at history of the Franks, the Normans, you look at history of England and the raids from the Scandinavians, you'll see that if you look at history of Russia, the original Russians are Cossack. Now they're Slavs. You look at the histories of these people. All over the world, these governments are run by Slavs. Russia, Belgium, Sweden, Holland, France, England, America, Australia, New Zealand, even now Brazil and South America, all run by Slavs. Now, I'll start with Brazil first. In the 16th, 17th, 18th and 19th centuries, the Germans were moving here, well, not 16th, from the 17th century, sorry. The Germans were moving here en masse. Now, in the early 20th century, late 19th century, there was an article written by the Americans about why the Germans were moving here en masse, the Slavics of Germany, because the original Germans are not Slavics, they're Teutons. Even Germany is not a Slavic country, but it's now run by Slavs. They wrote a paper speaking about the Germans coming into Brazil and South America and how they should allow it, because if there's enough of them in the future, they will run the country from a governmental point of view. And today we're living in an era where that is actually the truth of things. The government is purely Slavic. There are a few non-Slavics in there, but purely Slavic and Jew. All the money men behind them are Jew and Slavic. Every single one. One or two are Middle Eastern. And we'll cover that also. Now, if you look at this history, just look at the people flow. You'll see every single government that now is in the position creating these wars on earth are the same people, Slavics and Jews. And all the money behind them are Slavic and Jew, or some of the Middle Eastern now too. Now, Japan. You had a war with England and the Slavics in the 16th century, 17th century, which ended up changing your shogunate to one more friendly to the Slavs' ideas that they wanted to apply in Japan. Now, this resulted in a more friendly shogunate to them, but not one who was completely in their pocket. And the proof of this is in the 19th century, the Baron John Lees, the traitors to Japan, they went against the shogunate in forming a commercial alliance with England and America, with the Russians backing it. And in doing so, the original Baron John Lee was killed by the 12 samurai of the shogunate who were protecting the people of Japan. Now today, history, because it's written by the victors and the Slavs and the Jews in Maine, it speaks of Baron John Lee as an important man who deserves honouring, and these 12 samurai as Ronin who deserve to be cast out of history. But that's just the opposite to the truth. Because you look at Japan today, after its application of the Western ideals, i.e. philosophy, over the last century and a half, Japan is now a slave to America. It can't change a single internal monetary policy without consulting America first. the West literally uses it as a stomping ground to pull out finances for free because it's 0% interest. And this is only because that process began in the 16th, 17th century. There's been something in the process. Just give you an idea of how they're thinking. China, the Opium Wars. Now, before the Opium Wars began, England and the Slavs, and hidden in the background, Russia, were in war with the Middle East, Kazakhstan, Afghanistan. And remember, they were all the same people. And we'll cover this in more detail in a moment. And the moment they gained control of Afghanistan, 1839, they began their war with you to sell the opium they now had control of in Afghanistan upon your lands. The moment. So that says a number of things, but one of them is England as a government were the largest drug dealers on the planet ever outside of now America, because they are drug dealers. They went to war to sell drugs on your land to control your people. This is the truth of it. It's even called the Opium Wars, is it not? Then we have the World War I and IIs, which is literally them reshuffling themselves for power management of this board that is Earth and its global resources upon it. Now, as I've said, the Slavs have been moving themselves around the Earth and slowly taking over each government. So it's all the same people. Now, the last 100 years, you've seen this war of words between Russia and America. And you're thinking they're two different people, two different nations at war with each other, when they're not. They are one people, one nation. Two people, one nation. And they are keeping up an argument for pretenses, for appearance, so they can kill you all in the process. This would make sense for you people of the Middle East. No matter who you back, Russia or America, you still end up dead, do you not? Now, in furtherance of the Slavs moving, if you see it after Second World War, during the Second World War, how many Slavics of Germany and Russia defected to America? These people ended up forming huge parts of the beginning of the CIA, the secret agency of the American government. The American government itself now is filled up with the people of England, Scotland, France, that originally went there and killed and murdered 80% of the natural people there. Murdered them, remember this. They also hung them from trees. Now, as far as I'm aware, and I digress a bit, but this is necessary, the only time you hang meat on trees to dry in the sun is when you're curing it to be eaten. But they lured this battle, I think, where they exterminated, 60% of the warriors of a tribe. I think it was the Southwest. Yeah, Southwest. And they've even put it in films where they hung their bodies of trees. Thousands and thousands and thousands of warriors of the Native American Indians. Forget India, that word's rubbish, I'll cover that soon. The Native Americans. They hung them from trees, skinned them and left them to dry in the sun. Murderers. Anyway, after the Second World War, the American government was completely in the hands of Slavics. The Russian government, obviously, completely in the hands of Slavics. And between their war of attrition, between them, they've got every other country on earth to fall in line with either their communist or capitalist ideals as set up by Marx in his book, Das Kapital. Now, the war in Vietnam, which happened because of this argument, Vietnam was going to become communist, wasn't a war about communist capitalists. It was a war to kill all beauty in line with Homer's plan. Now, for those of you who can't see this in Homer's plan and the Iliad, it's because you're not reading it together with another book, the Histories by Herodotus. You need to combine the Iliad and the Herodotus histories and Plutarch's histories together. And in those three books, you will see exactly what I'm talking about if you can undo the code. I'm going to leave it with you while I get on with other things. And if you haven't, I will give you the code myself, because I already know the code. Anyway, where was I? Yes, Second World War. So, Vietnam, they invaded Vietnam under the pretense of stopping the country from becoming communist, when it wasn't. It was all about killing beauty. And the fact that these Slavs went into Vietnam and raped all the women, or as much of them as they could, in that place where they tried to kill the Kongs. I call you Kongs out of respect because it has a great meaning, and I will amend that to Kong Lo. Should give you further proof of what I'm saying. Now, you're saying, well, where are the English in this picture if the country's run by Slavs? In the 1980s, they started digging up archaeological sites all over England, and they started to find mass burials, mass graves of people who were eaten. Now, you can tell on a bone's been eaten. It's chewed, it's got teeth marks, the marrow's scraped out with teeth or whatever. And these are thousands and thousands of English human bones, the original Anglos, that have been eaten by other humans. Now, there was a story in the papers about this in the 80s because it was sensational. Oh, cannibalism in England, and it's dated back to the conquest of the Scandinavians, the Slavs in England. Quickly disappeared from the papers, never to be mentioned again. And then a huge, massive upsurge in stories on cannibalism associated to South Americas, Africa, while they try and make the rest of the world believe that everyone else is cannibals but them. When, who's doing all the killing? Anyway, that's another story I'll cover in the future. So America and Russia have orchestrated a war in Vietnam, killing everybody right in front of you all. You've all watched them kill your brothers and sisters. They've orchestrated a war, killing so many people in China, killing so many people in Japan. They've gone into America and murdered whole races of people. And they're still doing it on Africa today. Now, for you governments, when you look into this history that I've shown you, and you look and see what they've been doing to your people, how they've all come together and done it through this war of attrition, this war of words, fake, keeping up appearances to get you all on side or not on side, here's the things you will do. Every single one of the agencies that go into your countries providing drugs, you will remove. You will either put them all in jail until they can prove they're innocent, one of the witless or not, or you will forcibly remove them from all your countries ASAP. Now, to support this, in the research I've been doing, you could follow this yourselves, governments of Africa especially, because this is more easy to see in your continent. Upon the inset of Médecins Sans Frontières, the Red Cross, Doctors Without Borders, and as they've moved through the west coast of Africa, fertility rates have increased. Now, as they're doing this, the Human Rights Watch, they're writing their periodical reports on what's it called? Population numbers, and all the different demographics, fertility, mortality, And I've been reading all these reports for years. I don't read them anymore because I have the picture I need. I'm doing research in other areas to bring it all together. But you will see in these reports, they're reporting to themselves the effects of their drugs. And it's one of the reasons why I do not like Bill Gates or the Gates Foundation, because they are part of this killing our people, which is why you remove Gates Foundation from your countries also. And you will lock these people up at the first opportunity that you get, because they are killing your children, killing my children, my people all over the world. You'll see in the east of in the west coast of Africa how they have been sterilizing mothers as they go from door to door giving you drugs, and within a few years the fertility rates increase to such a mammoth amount. Now, in every single report where this is shown, they while it away with the term, improved reporting methods. Bullshit. Pardon my words. You look at this for yourself, governments, every single one of you. Now, within your government are traitors. Now, in a video I did a few years ago, I called somebody a backside boy when I addressed something to Winnie Mandela about Nelson Mandela. And that backside boy I addressed was Mbeki. Now, the reason why I call him a backside boy is because he is a postgraduate of what? The literatures. Now, how do you go to England, study the literatures, become a PhD in the literatures, go back to your country, become the president of your country, and you don't know backside nothing about the death that they're committing to your people in an orchestrated manner after you've read all the books and studied all the books? Tell me. So, you are either one of three things: a witless fool, and you better be a witless fool, because if you're not, you're a slave and you're going to get locked up. Or if you're not a slave, you are a traitor to your people. And like Mbeki, who sits in one of these three categories, there are many of you like that out there. So my people in your governments, my people who are in the powerful positions, as you start sorting out, you have to take account of these people. Now, as for you military police and you military in general, You are all being controlled by Slavs, and you are all Moreno, killing one another. As they set up their systems of their monetary systems in your countries, their capital systems in your countries, they create the haves and have-nots. And then to create a border between the have and have-nots, the have-nots are Morenos, the haves are them, and a couple of Morenos that don't look so bad. And then they create a military force to protect themselves against the have-nots. So now you have yourself, Morenos, bringing order, which is not order, it's protection for these little, let me not say it, against your own people. You are not going to do nothing right now. All you're going to do is sit and let this happen. In fact, you're going to get involved and put them in jail where necessary. America put armed forces all over the world in line with Homer's plan. And you'll see it in book 2, book 3. And if you line it up with Herodotus' histories, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This plan was designed. And they've done so because right now, when these things are supposed to be taking place, they want to start a third and final war, which brings man to destruction. The last time they had a huge war which reduced the numbers of man was the 100-Year War. In Homer's Iliad, they call it what do they call it? The Conference of the Princes. Yes, that's right. Every day in Homer's book is a century. Marry it up. You'll see I'm talking the truth. Now, in that 100-Year War, it was Slavs all over the world controlling parts of the world, making Morenos fight each other, reducing their numbers. And they're trying to do it again, which is why they placed the American armies all over the world. But you are all Morenos, so none of you are going to listen to your generals who tell you to fight each other. Because in the army, you're allowed to do what? Relieve a senior of their duty. And in this sense, you will relieve a senior of their duty because they're not right in their head if they want you to kill your own. Have I covered enough? My beautiful people of the governments. My beautiful people of Moreno in the governments. Listen to these words and hear them keenly. You will start doing the reading, start doing looking up things for yourself, just as I've guided the doctors in the previous video, and you will start doing what's necessary, because they will have you all dead if you do not. One love to all.